Hi, my name is Elaine Kunda, and I'm the founder of Disruption Ventures. I'm here today with Gillian Riley, the president and CEO of Tangerine Bank, and also the executive sponsor of the Scotiabank Women Initiative. Gillian, thanks so much for taking time to be with me today.
Thanks, Elaine. I'm delighted to be here.
So I'm going to start with the number one question that everybody's wondering. There's so much that the government is doing to support entrepreneurs and individuals. What is the best way for people to engage with their banks in this pandemic and understand what's available to them, how to access it? What's your advice to people, and how does the bank want them to engage and learn?
Well, I think it's a great question. And as you know, the banks have been working very closely with the government, and there's a lot of great programs that have been put into place. The best place to find the information is on the bank's website. So at the Scotiabank website, as an example, there is a specific COVID page that does outline all of the relief measures. And some examples of some of these measures include for individuals that have mortgages and credit cards and loans. There's opportunities to defer payments up to 3 months and up to 6 months, and it will outline how to do that through these web pages. Much of it is automated, which is great. For small businesses, there are several programs that have been launched. There's one that's called CEBA, the Canada Emergency Business Account, which provides businesses up to $40,000 interest-free until December 2022. And if you repay $30,000 of the principal by that time, $10,000 of that will be forgiven. So that's a terrific program. Another way to access and understand that is through small business advisors, by phone, and electronically through email. So those are two great ways, and or visiting a branch, but I would recommend using the phone and the internet. And there are other programs that have now been launched, supported by the BDC and the EDC, and also a perfect way to talk to your advisor about how to get access to those programs.
Okay, great. And I assume as things change, because they seem to be changing on a regular basis, they're being updated, that the bank is updating that information and evolving along with these new programs.
Yes, that COVID page that's on the Scotiabank website is updated daily. So it is very, very in the moment, real time.
So I'm going to switch gears. You're the president and CEO of Tangerine Bank, which is a digital bank. And I've been having a lot of discussions about how COVID has forced organizations to adopt digital technologies and tools that maybe they wouldn't have at a much faster pace. And so I would assume that Tangerine is ahead of the curve, but what has COVID done for your business, and I would ask the bank as a whole as far as adopting technology?
Well, certainly I think that this pandemic has expedited the digital acumen for everyone, and I think it will be here to stay in the long term. What probably would have taken 5 years to move the digital agenda forward has probably happened in the last 6 weeks through this pandemic. It's amazing some of the advances that we've seen. As an example, we have worked to automate and digitize all of our processes even further. You see it in other industries and other sectors where people are just buying things online now. It's all working electronically. And, it seems to be something that I think will really take hold for the long term.
Well, it's music to entrepreneurs' ears because one of the biggest challenges for fintechs or early stage companies is getting that enterprise client or getting the banks to adopt their technology. And so I'm very hopeful that this means that there will be more, and I guess it's a question, do you think that there will be more openness, not just in what you've done today, but recognizing the value and looking at innovation with a different lens?
Yeah, I think that some of the way we work has shifted over the last 6 weeks, and I think innovation has really come to the forefront to find new ways to be flexible, to be resilient. It's forced that, and because it sort of pushed that boundary, I think it's really, really brought innovation to the forefront and given people license to be more innovative and to try new things, because it's the way we're going to move forward. And it's the way we're together trying to fight off this pandemic. I mean, you think of what's going to happen in healthcare and health sciences is going to be enormous. So I really think innovation has become much more real. And, it's really a big part of the agenda to make things better and improve how we work.
So there's a debate generally about whether we're going to go back to where we were before, a version of normal. Have we learned that we can work remotely efficiently? I mean, my opinion is that this has been great that we have these tools, but there are certain things that face-to-face, that there are times when face-to-face is absolutely required. I would say creativity being one of those areas. What are your thoughts, just as a leader, about the group dynamic and working from home? When things kind of settle down and there's no risk, what do you think will change? What do you think you've learned from this? And what would you be more open to? And what do you think you'll go back to?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball. Unfortunately, I wish I did. But it will be interesting to see how this translates into everyday life and how we work and how we live in the future. Do I think we'll go back to the way it was quickly? No. I do think we're in this kind of environment or some semblance of it for a while longer. And I do think some of it will be here post everything feeling safe again. I do think that the creativity that I just talked about will become, I hope, more mainstream and more about the everyday and the speed with which we adopt things and the way we work. We really I found that this last 6 weeks has been great in terms of moving the ball forward and the innovation side. I also think the way we've communicated in some ways has been better. I think that it's been more open and more authentic, and it's allowed a breakdown of some barriers that existed, some formality. So I think it's created a sense of we're all in this together and we're moving forward to make change. So I really hope those things, that innovation and that new way of communicating, sticks and stays there for the long term in the new normal and in the normal after the new normal, and that we just operate in more productive and more efficient ways, but definitely more innovative.
Well, I think that humanistic is important because everybody seems to be a lot more authentic, natural, comfortable. You're being invited into people's homes from having to do Zoom calls. You've got dogs running in and kids and everybody, and it seems to be acceptable, where in the past that just people would have been mortified to let someone in a business meeting or a board meeting or whatever it may be into their homes. And so there's hopefully some element of that does kind of persist as we go back. The question is, will the world change after this pandemic? And I guess we have to wait and see. But there's no question that innovation is one of the benefactors, and technology is one of the benefactors of this crisis. Leadership in a time like this is something that's been discussed a lot. I've heard some incredible feedback about your leadership, about staying calm and how you've approached it. What's important? What do you see? What are the mistakes people are making and the things that they're doing well?
Well, I think that leadership has been absolutely critical during this period. And I think that for me, the things that were important that I kept reminding myself throughout, and I continue to do, is that you can only control the things that you can control. You can't control a lot of other things. So remembering that, I think, is really important, and reminding yourself to have a plan and stick with it on the things that you can control. So that was kind of first and foremost that I kept saying to myself, safety and well-being of employees and of customers and keeping the business operating. And these are things we can manage, and let's stay the course on these 3 items. And that was every week what we talked about as a leadership team. And so staying the course and having a plan, I think, was really important. Staying positive, as positive as can be, and optimistic, but being real and authentic at the same time. I think that really helps people work through when they're not sure what's happening, how to move the plan and how to move the business forward. I think really, really important. And then communicating as much as you can with all levels and all people, and even within your own family. I find I'm reaching out to people that I hadn't talked to in a long time in different ways, and not just through video or, one-to-one and in groups and various forms, and as being as real and as authentic as you can be. I think people bonded over the fact that we're all in this together, and having a plan helps people feel really comfortable. So those were my go-to places, and continue to be as we work through this.
And how do you manage going forward? Nobody knows, which is true, what's going to happen. How do you're responsible for so many people, for such a large organization. How do you plan for something that we don't know what's going to happen? What's the approach that you take?
Well, one of the things that I use is scenario-based planning. So trying to understand what the possible outcomes could be, what are the risks, what are the things that could happen, and then build plans against that. And I think particularly the down, where you can find the down cases, so that I always feel better when I have a plan against things. So it makes me feel more like I know what's going to happen. So we're working through various scenarios and what that could look like. And I think that it brings the group together too, to be problem solving around that, and then trying to build sort of different scenarios as they may play out.
Gillian, you are the executive sponsor of Scotiabank Women Initiative, which Disruption Ventures is a proud part of. Can you talk a little bit about the initiative and how you see it being important as much or more than ever through this pandemic?
Yeah, definitely. This is an initiative we started almost a year and a half ago. It's really aimed at helping female entrepreneurs with access to capital, mentorship, and education. And I must say, during this COVID pandemic, this access to knowledge and information couldn't be more important. And I think we've got some great learning aids and some great tools. And I think that what's there around cash flow and understanding your cash flow in your business is really going to be and is helpful information for female entrepreneurs. And the objective of our program, which is really, really grassroots and been embraced by Scotiabankers from coast to coast, which is so great, is really about helping women succeed, both build, start, and grow their businesses, because they haven't always had the same advantages. And this program is really aimed at providing I think the access to the information and the tools so that capital can be provided and that mentorship can be provided, so everyone can succeed, and in particular, women can have great success in building and growing their businesses.
I think the important part is the 3 pillars, and one of the things that I think makes Scotiabank unique is that commitment to the capital piece, which is often missed and is absolutely I would say, equally as important, in some cases the most important piece. I had a conversation with a pension fund recently who said, after a crisis or in a crisis, people stick to what they know. And I think women and emerging fund managers, women, are going to actually be have struggled even more. So it's so important for a program like yours, even more than ever, to be accessible to women. So, so there's no plans that'll continue, and it's something that the bank will continue to be committed to, I assume.
Oh, we're absolutely committed to it. It's exceeded all of our expectations, and as I said, I'm really proud of the way the Scotiabank teams across Canada have embraced this. They feel a real link to it, and they feel really committed to delivering on it and making a difference in their communities, and they see it as a differentiator because they think that it's really adding value and bettering society and Canada as a whole. So the more we can work together to build the success of the program, the better we will all be. So it's pretty exciting, and it will be here for the long term for sure.
Well, I've seen that enthusiasm. I've met with your managers from across the country. I've had people approach me who have read about our partnership and just seem to be proud and excited that Scotiabank took such I would say, strong and early role in this area, which is so critical. And, I constantly talk about the put your money where your mouth is, and that's something that Scotiabank has done. And I've benefited from that, and so have the companies that I have invested in and will continue to invest in.
So we're really happy to partner with you, Elaine. Disruption Ventures has been great. Supporting women in technology is so important. I feel like I'm kind of in technology. Although Tangerine is a financial services company, it's really technology is at the heart of it, and it's really what we're all about, being the leading digital bank in the country. So I feel a real commitment to helping females, especially in technology. And I think that the work that we're doing together there is so important. So look forward to doing more with you, Elaine.
I couldn't agree more, and obviously appreciate that support. Gillian, there's a lot of companies that the new normal, the situation has caused their businesses to either close or not be able to conduct themselves. But what we're seeing now is this pivot. People who are shifting the way they did things before. Do you have any examples that you've seen or that you can speak to about that?
Yeah, I think it's really important to pivot. We did a lot of that at Tangerine. You need to figure out how do you fit into the new environment. I'm seeing it a lot in the community where lots of restaurants have pivoted to takeout, where they're changing they're waiving the delivery fees or they're discounting it. You see this in a lot of retail stores that are doing a lot of online. I see a lot of them on social media, on Instagram, posting things. I've actually bought some clothes that way. So I think it's really important to think about how your business can adjust in this environment and really adapt to the new reality. And I think there's some great things out there to support that as well.
Well, it's really easy to be successful when everything's going up. It's at times like these when you have to be creative and relook at your industry and what needs to change. And I think there's no better time than now for companies. So, I really want to thank you. I know how busy you are in leading Tangerine to take the time to talk. Also, always appreciate your support in what I'm doing and for all of the work that you've done with the Scotiabank Women Initiative. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Elaine. And just in closing, I would say I think we're going to come out of this. I know this has been a tough time, and there's lots of hardships for a lot of people. It's not been easy, but I think we will come out stronger. I think we will, be resilient. I think Canadians and the world generally are very resilient people, and I think that we'll take a lot of learnings from this, and I think we'll be stronger and better for it in the long run. So thank you, Elaine, and thank you for chatting today.
Thank you so much. Stay safe.
You too.